Maya Millete, also known as Maya Millete, is from Chula Vista, California. She went missing on January 7th, 2021. Hasn't been found since, and the story has gotten weirder. I finally decided to take a little bit of a dive into this story, and yes, very interesting and lots of suspicion going on. So let's talk about that case. I'm going to try to do the whole timeline and some of the backstory to get us all up to date. Welcome to Left Undone, Incomplete Investigations. I'm Kathryn. Maya Millete is a 39-year-old woman living in Chula Vista, California. Her husband Larry and her have been married over 20 years. They have 3 children, ages 4, 9, and 11. May is 5'2", 105 pounds. She has brown hair, brown eyes, and freckles. She also has a tattoo on her wrist, and she has tattoos of musical notes and hummingbird.
A family is desperate for answers in the disappearance of Maya Millete, a mother of 3 from Chula Vista. She's been missing for weeks now, but the family believes she could be here in the Coachella Valley, and they're asking for your help. Kitty Alvarado spoke to the family.
That's 39-year-old Maya Millete, a mother of 3 from Chula Vista. No one has seen or heard from her since January 7th. Her sister is desperate for answers.
Not knowing anything or, her whereabouts or anything like that. And we don't even know what happened to her. So that's the hard part.
Even harder, not knowing what to tell May's children.
The 4-year-old has been asking, when is mom coming home? It's been hard. I'm sorry.
Her sister says the evening May went missing, she was supposed to join in a family chat as they were planning her daughter's Big Bear birthday party. She never responded. That's when they knew something was wrong. Family members went to her home, including her father. May's husband told him she'd been locked in her bedroom since Thursday after a fight.
The door was closed and it was locked. The husband had a key, so he was able to open the door. And sure enough, my sister was not there.
I don't know, my feeling is my heart broken already.
We reached out to the Chula Vista Police Department. They did not return our calls, but on February 5th, the police chief spoke at a news conference about the case.
My entire crimes of violence team has been working around the clock on this case from day one.
May is a military contractor. Her Jeep is still at her home, and the only things missing are a credit card and military ID. They've organized searches to no avail, but her sister is hopeful someone picked her up and took her to a place she loved to hike and off-road, the Coachella Valley or Ocotillo Wells. She hopes someone in the hiking or off-road community has seen her and can help bring her home.
Please, we've been in pain for so long. Please help us.
In Moreno Valley, Kitty Alvarado, NBC Palm Springs.
May is originally from the Philippines. She lives in Pasos Los Gatos in Chula Vista, California, which is in San Diego County. She's also lived in Buena Park, California, which is in Orange County, California, so about 2 hours north of Chula Vista. She's lived in Honolulu, Hawaii, and she's also lived on the East Coast in Newport News, Virginia. May works as a contract specialist for the Naval Base in San Diego. She has 5 siblings, the oldest which is Mary Chris. Mary Chris has been basically the spokesperson for May during this investigation. She's talked to media, been on court TV, and she's the one that's out there and about, talking with the media, her and her husband. May's sister and brother-in-law say they last saw her when they went on a trip to Glamis, which is a desert dunes place where people go camping in Southern California. A lot of Southern Californians that have 4-wheelers or dune buggies or razors, those things that are called dune buggies. I call them a dune buggy. They're called razors. That's a camping spot. People ride their dirt bikes out there, their four-wheelers, their Jeeps. They go 4x5. If they have 4x4s, they go riding. So it's a place to go riding, let your hair down, and have a good time out in the desert area of California. So the last time they saw her was on January 3rd when they were on this trip, or probably the last day of the trip since it was over New Year's. Now, they say they did notice a lot of arguments between Larry and May during that trip. Argument about the Jeep Wrangler that they had brought with them, and they felt, from what they're saying, is like there was some tension. But they felt like it was normal husband-wife squabbles, and they would work through it. They had no idea that May would go missing a few days later. Allegedly, another family member said that they heard, or May had said to them, if anything happens to me, Larry did it. We know this is hearsay, and I don't ever put a whole lot of stock in hearsay, but say if this person said it, in my opinion, that could be a red herring. Maybe the person that said it could be the one that's guilty of doing something to May. So I don't know, and I don't put a lot of stock in that because it's through too many channels. So I'm just going to put it out there because it's out there. But again, I don't put a whole lot of stock in that statement. I don't put a lot of stock in that kind of statement normally, except for Charles Vallow. When he said it, I believed him. And look what happened. So you can't say it doesn't happen because it did to him. In the months before May went missing, so late 2020, throughout 2020, Larry was said to have been texting and talking about May, claiming she was having an affair. He even went to her work and asked her boss to move a particular male away from her into another department or something like that. He was convinced that May was having these affairs, sometimes up to hundreds of messages a day that he was sending out. May was last seen in her home on Thursday, the 7th of January, 2021. There's a little bit of weirdness to the story, something about her being locked in her room. Other people said her husband had said she went for a walk. So I'm still not completely clear on how all that went down. But we do know from the private investigator that was hired by May's family that May actually did FaceTime or Facebook video call with two of her friends at about 5:30 p.m. on the 7th. Recently, a video has come out from a neighbor's doorbell camera where they heard like pop, 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 6 type gunshots about 10 p.m. that same night of the 7th. So that's really weird, and it does to me sound like gunshots, which is really scary when you know somebody went missing that night and hasn't been found 3 months later.
Surveillance video from the Chula Vista neighborhood where a missing mother of 3 lived captured sounds that appear to be 6 gunshots on the night Maya Millete went missing.
In a News 8 exclusive, our David Gottfredson obtained an audio recording of those disturbing sounds, which has already been turned over to police.
They sound like gunshots, 6 loud bangs in 20 seconds, captured by a surveillance camera on the outside of a house in the neighborhood where Maya Millete lived with her husband and 3 children. At first, a cluster of 5 bangs can be heard, then a dog in the neighborhood starts barking, then there's a 10-second gap and a final bang. The neighbor who gave News 8 the recording did not want the video part of it aired on TV because it identifies their house, but the audio is clear. The neighbor told us it was recorded around 10 p.m. on Thursday, January 7th, the same date Maya Millete went missing, and the same night her husband Larry reportedly had an argument with his wife. That date was also the last time anybody ever heard from the missing 39-year-old.
How is the family doing with all of this speculation?
The speculation is Maya, she go by herself, Okay, just like the first statement, right?
News 8 caught up with Larry Milliete's father, Benito, on Thursday. He was walking to the park with two of his grandchildren. We asked him about the ongoing search for Maya.
The family of Maya is looking for a dead body. We're still waiting.
We also asked about the loud bangs we heard on the neighbor's surveillance video.
Did anybody hear any gunshots on that night?
No gunshot, nothing at all.
So 6 bangs around 10 o'clock that night. Then about 35 minutes later, the neighbor tells us that same camera recorded audio that sounded like children playing in a backyard. And we still don't know the significance of all this to the investigation, but that audio of the children playing, that would have been around 10:30 at night. Steve, back to you.
Well, without question, David, that audio of what appears to be gunshots is chilling. So the big question, what are Chula Vista police saying about this recording? Are they aware of it?
They're aware of it. Chula Vista police have had this recording for the past 3 months, according to the neighbor. And the department has not named any suspects. Larry Millete has not been named a suspect in this case. We reached out to Chula Vista police, told them we had this audio. A captain emailed us back saying they have no comment on evidence in the case.
All right, and Dr. Phil is going to have more on that as well. So thank you, David.
Now, what really bothers me about this story more than anything, you know, a wife divorcing her husband, maybe just left, took off, said, peace out, I'm gone, is the fact that they have 3 children, 4, 9, and 11. And January 9th, 2 days later from the last day she was seen, they had plans to go away to Big Bear. Big Bear is the local mountains in Southern California. It's that time of year. There's snow. People go snowboarding and skiing up in Big Bear. So I'm sure they had reservations if they don't have another home up there. A lot of people have cabins in Big Bear that live down here in Southern California. But they would have had reservations and plans to go up there for that weekend. And for her to just ditch out on her children for her birthday, her sister says no. That's just absolutely nothing like what she would have done. She has not answered any calls or any texts since January 7th. Now, it should be noted, on the last day that she was ever heard from, January 7th, she actually visited an attorney's office that day to discuss proceeding with a divorce. And she made a follow-up appointment that she was going to come in and actually meet with the attorney directly for January 12th, which clearly she never showed up for. Now, another thing that really bothers me and kind of boggles me about this case, at 11:18 p.m. on January 9th, May's sister, Mary Chris, actually was the one that reported her missing and called the Chula Vista Police Department. Really weird that her husband didn't do it, in my opinion. Like, what was he telling the kids? That your mom just pieced out on your birthday? Like, this just really, really doesn't sit well with me. That he didn't call the police, that the birthday trip to Big Bear was just gone, canceled, ignored, and he didn't, like, freak out a little bit. I'm really suspicious when it comes to this piece of information in this case. Like, what would you say? Oh, sorry, daughter, your mom took her own trip instead of taking your birthday trip. Like, no. On January 10th, the Chula Vista Police Lieutenant, Miriam Fox, she confirmed that they did visit Maya and Larry's house at about 1 a.m. on the 10th. And at that point, they realized that she had been gone for 3 days. She vanished 3 days before they ever showed up there or were called. Her car was still home, her cell phone was gone, and all the calls to her cell phone went right to voicemail. On January 11th, Billy Little, he is an attorney investigator that was hired on behalf of her family. He went to the house and Larry let him in. He explored the house and he did notice that there was a hole in the bedroom door next to the bedroom door where the handle is. He said the hole was, big enough for somebody to put a hole reach their arm in and unlock the door and go into the room, because it was said that Maya had locked herself in the room for hours. So that looks weird. He said the hole was freshly patched, and he also said all the windows were open and fans were on, and it was very cool in the house. I mean, January does get cool in Southern California. So yeah, that is a little weird. He said it was like somebody had been really cleaning, but there was no smell of bleach. There was no smell of a human decomposing. He thought it was really strange though. He also said that a freezer that had been in the garage was gone. And he said he actually went to one of Larry's family members to find this freezer. I guess Larry had given it to the family members. And so he has a picture of the freezer that I can share with you at the new place where it moved to. And the family members apparently said, no, we've been wanting that freezer for a while. It was given to us from them. He investigated texts and messages that Larry had sent to friends and family, and at some points there were like hundreds and hundreds of text messages. He took a picture of one, and it is a Bible verse, Proverbs 5:3-13, and it talks about, in the Bible verse, it says, "For the lips of the adulterous woman drip honey, and her speech is smoother than oil. But in the end, she is bitter as gall, sharp as a double-edged sword. Her feet go down to death. Her steps lead straight to the grave." It goes on, but really weird, right? Really bizarre that he had sent that text. He also said there was a photo in these text messages of a sort of pictures of May and Larry, and then candles, like a shrine. And it was really bizarre. There's a picture of that as well. Now, the police won't really talk about this in depth, but they did confirm that they have been in contact with Billy Little. News 8 did reach out to Larry regarding what Billy Little had said about the house and the hole and the shrine and the pictures and all this in the freezer. And Larry replied, he lied and he presented himself as NCIS to gain access into my family home. He misinterpreted himself to gain access to my family's home as well, meaning the relatives with the freezer is what I'm assuming. Claiming to be NCIS, his lies misrepresents himself, posing to be law enforcement. I'm not quite sure if impersonating NCIS is a crime, but it should be. He said, more lies, implications, and speculations. I do not hate anyone, and I just hope people can stop spreading lies and making our lives into entertainment in the media. We are already going through difficult times. He's been untruthful from the start and seems to be willing to do anything, including manipulating the situation. My wife is a good woman. She's missing. Everything else is just noise. That was from Larry. Like I said, she was supposed to meet on January 12th with a divorce attorney, and she clearly did not show up for that. While she's been missing, Larry has just stayed home with the children and has not participated in any of the searches or the vigils for her. On January 23rd, Chula Vista Police Department said they had a search warrant for May and Larry's home. As of that time, the family was fully cooperating with law enforcement. But on February 4th, which was almost a month after May went missing, May's family did state to media that Larry had no longer been cooperating and he had lawyered up. And this was confirmed by the Chula Vista Police Department that he had retained a lawyer. And she also mentioned that Larry had been distancing himself from her side of the family. But in interviews, May's sister and her brother-in-law have said, I can't imagine Larry doing anything to her. He's our family. On February 5th, there was a media briefing, and May's sister pleaded with the public, if anyone knows anything, please, please, please come forward. She said the kids need their mom. At that point, it was also said the police have received no positive communication with Larry. Now, again, May's sister had said, you know, they were having normal, what she thought was just normal ups and downs in a relationship, in a marriage. However, the fact that she was seeking out an attorney for a divorce tells me it was probably a little more than that. Maybe she didn't want to worry her family by expressing this to them. As of February 16th, law enforcement said there are absolutely no suspects. They've had search parties throughout Southern California, the deserts, the areas that she would hike and frequent. They've been putting search parties together every single weekend. On February 26th, they actually hired their own private investigator. March 7th marked 2 months exactly from when May went missing. Now, on March 17th, Larry did talk to Court TV, and he claimed that May would go out often, going out to her friends' houses, get drunk, stay over her friends' houses overnight. By April 5th, this month that we're in now, the police department did warn people to not share misinformation about the case on social media. And they said, anyone with details, please call those details in directly to the police department at 619-691-5151. April 7th was exactly 3 months since she went missing. April 8th, the video and the sounds of the gunshots, apparent gunshots, alleged gunshots, was released. And the neighbor didn't show their face because they didn't want to be shown for their own safety reasons, but they did share this with media, and you can hear the gunshots clearly like we showed you. On April 14th, a search warrant was served to Larry's aunt and uncle's house.
News 8 has learned investigators seized guns and other evidence this month from a house in San Diego. As David Gottfredson reports, a search warrant targeted the home of her husband's aunt and uncle.
The house on Viewcrest Drive in Encanto is within San Diego's city limits. But on April 1st, Chula Vista police showed up to serve a search warrant, seizing about a half dozen long rifles and other evidence, according to neighbors who recorded this video of the police activity. It shows marked and unmarked police vehicles in the street and investigators putting evidence into a van. Neighbors say officers were on scene for a couple hours in the middle of the day. The house is owned by 66-year-old Ricky Lincoln, better known as Uncle Ricky to Larry Millete, the husband of Maya Millete, a missing mother of 3 from Chula Vista. Uncle Ricky lives in the house where the search warrant was served with Larry Millete's aunt, Kathy Lincoln. On Monday, Uncle Ricky and Aunt Kathy were seen dropping off one of the children at the Millete house. Police are looking at surveillance video from the neighborhood on the evening of January 7th when Maya Millete went missing and when 6 loud bangs rang out around 10 p.m. Investigators also are trying to identify vehicles seen driving around the neighborhood during the early morning hours of Friday, January 8th. Chula Vista police confirmed they did serve a search warrant at that house in Encanto on April 1st, but we do not know how it relates to the investigation. Ricky and Kathy Lincoln did not respond to messages seeking comment for this report, and I want to stress they have not been named suspects in this case. Carlo?
Another day, more developments, David. Now, we've seen the family gather for searches for Maya Millete. Are there any more of those coming?
Maya's family will be out all weekend, Saturday and Sunday, in the Anza Borrego Desert. They are asking for off-roaders to come out there and help them search for Maya out in the desert. Also, on Sunday at 7 a.m., the Maya Millete Search Warriors will be meeting up, as I say, 7 a.m. along Proctor Valley Road.
David Gottfredson with the latest on Maya Millete's disappearance. Thanks, David.
Law enforcement has had 47 interviews with family members, friends, neighbors, and witnesses. 12 search warrants, which include homes, cars, phones, electronic devices, call records, financial records, cloud data, social media, and one of the warrants was for the Larry and May's home, and that was on January 23rd. They have also reviewed 40 plus tips on this case, and they plan to provide updates every 2 weeks. Here's my questions. Was there a life insurance policy that Larry was the beneficiary on, or somebody was the beneficiary on, that May was if she were to die, they were to get the money? Was there an actual affair, or was Larry just paranoid and being a controlling, nosy guy? You know, the jealous husband. The most dangerous time is when the woman is leaving. This happened to my very best friend. A story just like this, but that's a story for another day. And my friend was actually leaving her husband as well the day that she got shot. If you're ever in that situation, don't tell them you're leaving. Don't tell them you're divorcing them. Just get out quietly when they're not home or not paying attention. Take your children and go. Go to a safe house. Go somewhere where you cannot be found. Do not live in denial and believe that your husband would never hurt you, because they do. If they've shown the signs, if they've been abusive, if they've been controlling, it's absolutely possible that this narcissistic behavior, this sociopath behavior, this controlling, aggressive behavior can escalate, and it does. And where did this information come from that Larry suspected her of having a boyfriend and discussed paying someone $20,000 to kill the guy? That's another rumor that's out there. I have no idea, but allegedly someone has said that Larry said he was going to pay someone $20,000. So that's the case right now in a nutshell. I will continue to see if there's anything else out there. I just want to put the facts out there. I know there's a lot of other stuff, but I don't want to go there because it's not fact-driven and it's not been proved. And I did tell you there were some comments that have been allegedly out there, but those were in the media, so I did repeat them here. Thank you for watching Left Undone, Incomplete Investigations. I'm Kathryn. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and ring the bell if you're new here. I appreciate you all. Be safe, stay well.